The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
We've talked about the top 5 boom players you need to draft this season in fantasy football with Jake Ciely from theathletic.com. But now you need to give us your top 5 busts. And they don't need to be like terrible, but like you could say Bijan Robinson is going to be a bust because he's not going to be the 3rd best player in fantasy. It's like, oh yeah, he's going to be the 24th. So if you draft him, it's not going to be good for where you took him. Like that is allowed in this bust portion, because I don't need you to tell me that random guy on the Chiefs that we talked about in the boom section, Malik Harris or whoever, is going to bust. Yeah, like no shit, that's going to happen. So give me your 5.
I have 2 top 25 wide receivers, 2 top 25 running backs, and a QB1. So there, I didn't go too deep.
I like it. What's happening?
A QB1. I don't know why he's being drafted as QB1. Dak Prescott. Like I'm like, what if Dak Prescott's just not that good anymore, or never was that great? Also, by the way, the one person that was trying to get a little bit more passing going in this game is gone. Kellen Moore is gone, and now it's just Mike McCarthy asking this team to run 8 billion times a game. And I know they brought in Brandon Cooks, but look at Dak Prescott and how much he struggled last year with only quote-unquote CeeDee Lamb. You know, we've been trying to do the Michael Gallup thing for years. He doesn't run anymore, Dak Prescott. That's the biggest thing. Like, he was chipping in those. It was like, look, you're going to get 5 rushing touchdowns every single year. So you don't have the rushing upside. It's a run-first offense. I do like Dak Prescott on his efficiency, but that took a slip last year and started throwing a lot of balls off target, and this interceptions jumped. I say all this to say I'm keeping it pretty simple. Like, just what if the old Dak Prescott doesn't exist anymore, and Brandon Cooks coming in is not just going to magically fix everything, which, by the way, they also lost Dalton Schultz and how a bunch of second-year and rookie tight ends now, too.
So looking at his ADP in high stakes, so not best ball, because we're not talking about best ball. We're talking about season-long fantasy football. You see how now
he's 12, right?
Yeah, he's number 11 right now.
Wow, that's even worse
in terms of it. I mean, the way that I'm speaking, you can tell I'm probably going to cut this into 2 videos, but leave it as one podcast, and people are wondering. So smash the like while you're here and watch that other video that we recorded 2 minutes ago about the busts or the booms for the year. But with Dak, he's going at number 11 overall. That's sandwiched in between Tua and Kirk Cousins. Daniel Jones is going as quarterback number 14, pick number 116 overall.
Really? I don't like Daniel Jones, and I would have taken him before that.
Yeah, I would have feel like I would take him over Dak, because I'm kind of with you. Like, if he doesn't pick up those rushing touchdowns, it's hard to make that big of a case for him based on the factors that you laid out. Like, the biggest proponent of passing in this offense, despite the fact that he gets a talent boost at wide receiver, gone. He's with Justin Herbert.
I know. I was looking, what is it last year? I would guess off the top of my head, I'm pulling it up right now, on points per game, 15, 16, 17 somewhere. He was tied for 16th with Jared Goff last year in points per game at quarterback.
Like, right now, we are at runthesims.com. Go there to build your projections for free and customize them any way you want. Build your own rankings. That's probably the way to do it. And ranking show coming out next week with Chris Meany. But we have him at quarterback number 7, but it's within like 5 points of a whole bunch of different guys. And it's markedly behind Justin Herbert, who's way ahead of him. Like, I currently still have him for more fantasy points than Aaron Rodgers and Trevor Lawrence and Fields and Cousins, Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones, but they're all within like 5 to 10 points. And I think that when I'm making my rankings, I'm kind of with you that I think I'd just rather have those guys because there's upside there. Like, I kind of know what Dak's upside is.
You know what the funny thing is? I don't, but I'm looking right now. So I have him behind, actually one spot behind Kirk Cousins, and then Rodgers, Bryce Young, and Geno. That's projections wise, but I would not draft Bryce Young there. That's, I think, kind of ceiling-ish field, but I have him for 5 rushing touchdowns. Anyway, sidebar. The point being, starting with Tua at quarterback 10, 300 fantasy points, drop down to Russell Wilson at 18, 291. Like, there's no difference between any of those guys, so I'd rather just grasp for ceiling.
And I'm completely with you. Like, I don't love Justin Fields with the way that he is being drafted this year, but it was the same reason that we liked, Hurts last year and Justin Fields and like Anthony Richardson this year. Like, all right, even if they're bad, they can be really good at fantasy. It's strange to think about, but if Matt Stafford is healthy, like, what do you think that the gap between Dak and Stafford would be over 17 games?
I'd say almost 0, and I'd probably lean towards Stafford.
Who's going, 100 picks later?
Free, yeah.
Or being undrafted. So you get to tie, like, you can tie Dak to CeeDee Lamb, I think that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned Brendan Cooks. Gallup looks like he's going to be okay for this season. But if you can, you have to use a first round pick on Cooper Kupp. But if you get Kupp, like Stafford's free at the end if you want to pair those two up.
Yeah. And Michael Gallup, we've been doing this enough about Michael Gallup. Stop. Not you, but like I'm done with him.
Bust number 2, please.
Yeah, bust number 2, Rachaad White. I'm drafting Rachaad White. Let's be clear. I like Rachaad White. I think he's going to get the majority of the backfield, but we know this. We know the risk of Rachaad White and the fact of if you're in a bottom 5 offense, it is not good. Actually, bottom 10 offense. This is what I pulled. The last 5 years, Pat, bottom 10 offenses, you had one RB1 with an RB7. And then over the last 5 years, an average of 1 per year with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 5 years. 7 over 5 years, it finished as an RB1 in a bottom 10 offense, not even bottom 5. So I point that out to say Rachaad White's a bust on the fact that people are drafting him as like RB15, 16 and be like, ooh, he could be RB1. He's just going to get all the touches. Look at how good he is. He's great in the passing game. And we look at it, it's Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. And it's this offense could be awful. The offensive line looks like it's going to be pretty damn bad. So I'm in on Rachaad White, but I'm in on Rachaad White as like RB 24, 25-ish. If you're going to push him into the teens, you're almost hoping it just ends up being a good year. And if not, you're getting even worse than that. Also, by the way, Mayfield doesn't throw to running backs any more than Tom Brady did. So it's not like he's going to be like, oh, he's getting a quarterback upgrade who loves throwing to running backs.
I think it's going to be a split at runthesims.com. We currently, the stock
and that's the risk too,
has him at running back number 17. But like I saw Sean Tucker is going to be cleared. Like he is going to be in the mix for this season and trying to get some touches. I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn, like who really cares? But like Chase Edmonds is there now. I think they're going to try to feel it through. And if they do get to a point where they feel like White's not their guy, I could see him not necessarily being benched, but being on the bad end of one of these splits. Like I don't think it's a guarantee that he's just running back 1 on this team with running back 1 volume. He might be the number 1 guy on the team, but that could be like a 43% snap share or something.
Exactly. That's the thing too. Is like people wanted to grasp onto Chase Edmonds for years. Just last year with the Dolphins. Oh, Chase Edmonds, man, it's going to be terrific. And now he's like backing up Rachaad White. He's like, oh, he doesn't matter. Like, well, why does he not matter anymore? So I'm with you in the fact that like I'm kind of looking at other running backs that kind of sat in that like majority, but like it wasn't a vast majority. Like a good comparison might be, I'm kind of like trying to look down, like Deonta Foreman actually last year with Carolina once Christian McCaffrey was gone. Like, well, what if it's just that?
It's funny because I mean, I think that Chuba Hubbard kind of steps into that role this year, but the guy that you talked about as your first boom player of all of this, like what is really the difference between Khalil Herbert and Rachaad White this year besides 50 spots in ADP?
Nothing.
Like they could both be the running back 1 and be great. They could both lose their job and be on the back end of it.
Which that's why I was so in on Khalil Herbert and out on Rachaad White. He stepped inside my brain there, Pat. Get out quick. It's scary in there.
Yeah, I'm gone. So give me number 3 on the bus list.
Number 3, Ken Walker. Oh man, like Ken Walker, super inefficient, like after contact for what he should be able to do. Now he did have some really big plays, but there was a lot of concerning efficiency games last year. That's another thing. Meany and I kept talking about a lot last year of like potential sell high in Ken Walker, and then they draft Charbonnet. How many times have we done this with Sean Payton? He talks up every running back. They're all going to get touches, and not all of them do, but he did it for the longest time.
Carroll is the name you're looking for.
What did I say?
Sean Payton.
Oh, Sean Payton. Where the hell did Sean Payton come from?
I don't know, because there's all those stories about like Russ wanted to fire Pete Carroll to get Sean Payton. And now
maybe that's what it was.
Now Seattle kept Pete Carroll and Sean Payton.
How the hell did he slip into my brain with that? Like, I don't know. That was, anyway,
I got out of your brain.
I know. So Pete Carroll, yes. Even going back to Rashad Penny and Chris Carson, I think they drafted Charbonnet to be a timeshare. Do I think it means Ken Walker's not the lead? No. I still believe Ken Walker's the lead. I still believe he's the guy. But interestingly enough, he wasn't also really great at getting those like goal line scores. What if he splits some of those? But let's even say he doesn't. I think this backfield is now going to be the reverse Packers, where A.J. Dillon's the second piece to Aaron Jones, but they both siphon off each other. I think this is the reverse. This is if Dillon was in the lead, Aaron Jones was the backup. Still makes Ken Walker an RB2 for me, but he's a low end RB2. I mean, I'm talking 22, 23, somewhere right around there. And the risk is what if it's a 50-50 split? And what if Charbonnet just starts being more explosive? What if Charbonnet also puts it in the end zone better than Ken Walker did last year? The downside is that all of a sudden this is a full 50-50 split like the Broncos love to do. And now, maybe that's where I was going with Sean Payton. I don't know. But point being, I'm kind of out on Ken Walker where he's going.
So looking at it right now, Kenneth Walker is going at pick number 49 overall. That's running back number 17. That is one pick overall after Aaron Jones, who I'd much rather have. 3 picks after Joe Mixon and 6 picks after ETN and Breece Hall. Much rather, I don't think he's on that tier. I'm with you. My projections at Run the Sims have him at running back number 30 for the year overall. Because of the inefficiency. It doesn't, and listen, this happened to Nick Chubb, this happened to Derrick Henry. Projections don't like these guys because the realistic probability of what a computer thinks of breaking off an 80-yard run doesn't actually match what some of these guys do in reality, just because they're good at that, really like that one amazing thing that scores so many fantasy points on one play. So you kind of have to take away the outliers when you look at this. So he can most definitely overperform that. But guys going after him right now, like Dalvin Cook is still sitting there. We'll see what happens with him. J.K. Dobbins is going after him. Miles Sanders. I'd rather have Cam Akers, who is going 20 picks after him.
You said it, not me. I can't. I don't think I can endorse Cam Akers anymore. I'm not allowed to.
Did you see Rachaad Penny getting first team snaps in Philadelphia?
I don't care about first team snaps.
I know that because I want any reason to draft Rachaad Penny and not DeAndre Swift.
Oh, I took Rachaad Penny in our athletic mock last night, and I was like, man, I can't believe he's still there. And whatever it was, like the 10th round or something, like rounds and rounds and rounds after Swift. And I'm like, okay, I'll take Rachaad Penny. By the way, who was an RB1 when healthy. Granted, we're probably only going to get 6 games from him, but we'll get 6 RB1 games.
Yeah, he's going to pick number 106 right now. Still ahead of Khalil Herbert.
That's absurd.
When you said you did an athletic mock, does that mean a mock draft, or is that just like a writer's meeting at that publication?
No, mock draft. No, actually, it was we went out there and mocked like a triathlon. We didn't actually do the triathlon.
You ran some sims on the triathlon. See what's up?
Yeah.
All right, give me number 4.
Number 4, Deebo Samuel. I have 0 shares, and I'm not going to get any. I am. To give you an idea of where regular ADP is, and this is an underdog, so this is like the consensus one on one of those sites out there. Deebo Samuel for me at wide receiver 29 is 13 under ADP. Why are we still drafting Deebo Samuel like he's the Deebo Samuel we loved that one year? Like that, the 2 years ago, Deebo Samuel was just not a thing. That was fun. That was an amazing year. But that's just that Deebo Samuel doesn't exist anymore because they don't need him to exist anymore. They needed him back then. They have Christian McCaffrey now. They have Brandon Ayuk, who I will argue and take in front of Deebo Samuel as the better wide receiver. They have a healthy George Kittle, which was part of my concern. You know this, Pat. We talked about it last year's preseason. I was worried about all 3 of them because we couldn't parse out who exactly was going to be the one to lose because all 3 of them weren't healthy together with the majority of the season before that. And then they were last year. And we saw it was Ayuk and Kittle, especially Kittle with Brock Purdy. And I think Ayuk, Kittle are the top 2. Deebo's the 3. He's going to get use out of the backfield, but not what it used to be. So I just have 0 Deebo Samuel. I will take Christian Kirk, who, by the way, is going to be involved in the next one, but it's not Christian Kirk. I have Deebo Samuel way down at 29.
So Brandon Ayuk going at pick number 62 right now as wide receiver number 28 in high stakes. And then you have Deebo Samuel going as pick number 16 at receiver. That is 35 overall. So there's almost 30 spots of difference between the 2.
It's just absurd. They should be reversed, but I'm still not going to take Ayuk that high. I have Ayuk with Judy and Hopkins and stuff like that as like wide receiver 22, 3.
So Judy is going at pick wide receiver number 19. He's actually very close he's within 3 picks of Deebo Samuel right now.
Yeah, Judy every single time. Not even a question for me. You
think Judy's going to be that good, huh?
I think he is that good. I think he needs to stay healthy, and I think Russell Wilson is going to bounce back. I have a lot of faith in Sean Payton being able to resurrect Russell Wilson. There were still signs there was a little bit left with Russell Wilson last year.
Last one, the bust.
It's Christian Kirk's teammate, Calvin Ridley.
No chance. That's what you got, pal.
No, because the problem is where he is. We're drafting him as if he's never missed a season, let alone 2, let alone coming to a team where there's a rapport with Trevor Lawrence already with Christian Kirk, and Christian Kirk was finally what everybody wanted them to be, and everybody laughed about that contract, and they're like, oh, well, maybe the Jaguars were right in bringing in Christian Kirk. And do I have Calvin Ridley in front of Christian Kirk? Yes. Would I draft him? Yes, I would. I would take him over because there's more upside. But the drafting of Calvin Ridley as almost a top 15 wide receiver is where I have the issue, because that's assuming, as I say it, don't buy all the risk. You're buying the fact that he hasn't skipped the beat, that he doesn't have some of the touchdown issues he had briefly. And I know that was with Matt Ryan. As you always said, Matt Ryan let the galaxy brain himself and throw to anybody but the correct option when they're in the red zone. And Trevor Lawrence won't do that. But we're just banking on all these things just being okay. And Michael Thomas, granted his involved injuries, but Michael Thomas missed an entire year. And everyone's like, oh, it's going to be fine again. It doesn't matter if you haven't played in 2 years. We don't care. Like, Calvin Ridley is getting close to 30 years old now. Like, he's not there yet, but it's around the corner. And like, we're just assuming he's going to step in and be the one and be an easy one, at least according to ADP.
I just think if you're shooting in this territory, I like Calvin Ridley a lot. So he's going at
I do too.
He's going at pick number 39. So early 4th round in season long drafts, in high stakes at least. We'll see where that fleshes out towards the end. And I think that Christian Kirk is somewhat undervalued based on the way he's going, because they might be very close. Or you got a 28-year-old receiver who has no injuries to speak of, no wear and tear from the past 16 months. The only concern I have is if he took out like a big bet on his under receiving yards or something.
I'm not even going there. I'm going to something I told you years ago. Mike Tomlin was the one who said this. He said there's a difference between being in NFL shape and NFL game day shape. All these players know how to stay in shape. They know how to be in quote unquote football shape. There's a difference in game day shape. And he hasn't played game day in almost 2 years. That's my rub. And it's not that I don't like him. I would take him in front of Judy. I would take him in front of Drake London, who I talked about. I'm just not going to take him in front of Christian Watson and Tyler Lockett, who everybody's crucifying now just because they drafted Smith and Jekma. DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper. I'm taking all of them before I take them. No,
I'm taking Calvin Ridley over every single one of the guys you just mentioned.
Even Metcalf?
Yeah, of course, Metcalf. You got another option there now.
Okay. Nah.
Smith and Jake was one of the, you want to tell me one of those guys that you talked about, and maybe Judy is the answer, but I don't love Judy as much as everyone else seems to. But if you want to tell me, and listen, Ridley could be a bust, he could not be good, you could be completely right based on value. But if you also told me that one of those guys, circle that entire range you just talked about, finishes as a wide receiver 1 inside the top 10 this year, the answer is also Calvin Ridley. That's why I want him.
I don't know if I could buy into the top 10. Maybe top 15.
I mean, if he can be top 15, he can be top 10 with good touchdown luck.
I just don't know if it's there. I know we're splitting hairs on that one, but I just don't say, again, the DK Metcalf thing is Smith and Jigba is Tyler Lockett replacement, not DK Metcalf replacement.
Yeah, but it's just another name to be out there. And it's not like Penny Hart and D. Eskridge were funneling away.
No, it's not.
You know who actually did was Marquise Goodwin. Like before he ended, like until when he came into the fold, they actually started using him.
Should I just call Smith and Jigma my bust then? Because why are we drafting the third option on this team?
Maybe he's secretly the best one on the team.
No, he's not. He's being drafted as like top 40, inside the low 30s at wide receiver. Yeah, go look. Go on. I think he's at, what, 37, 8?
41, pick number 89 overall. That's ahead of Brendan Cooks, Cortland Sutton, Elijah Moore, Quentin Johnson, Michael Thomas. Loves to gamble. Loves to gamble. Gamble on his career. Jamison Williams is there. Romeo Doubs.
I'd rather take Quentin Johnson. There's more likely both of those guys, either one of them gets, like, if you told me 17 games, I get to bank on 2 of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, one of them getting hurt, I'm taking Quentin Johnson 10 times out of 10.
I like it.
You got to get out of here.
I do have to get out of here. That's true. I'll split this up into 2 shows. 1 podcast, 2 shows. Get double the hits. Which one do you think will do better? This one is shorter.
If you get blocked like I did when I did a bust show a couple of years ago, because YouTube saw it in the title and was like, you can't have bust. What are you doing? Like it was for porn or something.
We have
so
like busty wide receivers. I mean, one of the best performing shows I ever had was Cuss Corner XXX.
Really?
Yeah, Cuss Corner 30.
Oh, there you go. Then I'm going to bank on the busts. Then there you go.
Bank on the busty wide receivers. Thick, busty wide receivers from Jake Ciely this year, 2023 fantasy football. We got more coming next week. Meanie in studio, talk about running back and wide receiver rankings. Jake's going to be back soon. We got all the shows with Cam and Rob, with Tim and Jeff. It's just like if you tuned out 6 months ago, we're just right back where we were. So welcome back to a lot of the people out there. And if you're new, sub to Mayo Media Network and smash the like. Give me your favorite bust down in the description. And check out all Jake's work at AllInKid on Twitter and at theathletic.com. That'll do it for me. I'm Pat Mayo, and I'll see you next time.
Fat Mayo Experience! Experience!